Where I grew up in Detroit, turkey stuffing didn't matter if it was cooked inside of the bird or in a separate casserole dish. In the South, if it's not cooked in the bird, it's called dressing. It's made with cornbread too, and oh my goodness, is it delicious. Back in the day, I used to work at this French restaurant, and we would make the most incredible cornbread and chorizo sausage stuffing that we would put inside Cornish hens. We had a little butter honey glaze at the end. Oh my gosh, was it so good. We're going to make something pretty similar, and believe it or not, it is fantastic. You will not want to eat a stuffing, or better yet, dressing any other way. We are going to start with a little bit of prep. Sound good? Let's cook. We need to crumble up some pre-made cornbread. Now I've got a fantastic cornbread recipe for you. Be sure to use the one without any sugar in it. And it's actually best if the cornbread is a few days old. If you just made it, no problem. I'll show you how to dry it out. Using clean hands or with gloves on or even a spoon, you want to break it up into small pieces on a cookie sheet tray lined with parchment paper. Once it is broken up, set it to the side, and what I've always learned to do is fill in with a little bit of bread in addition to the cornbread. Now it's great also if these are a few days old. You can use old dinner rolls, biscuits, or even bread that perhaps is a little bit on the staler side. It's totally fine. I've got these little dinner rolls that I'm going to cube up into about a 1/2 to 1 inch size cubes. We're actually going to place those right over top of the crumbled up cornbread. We're heading to an oven on 300 degrees. What we're going to do is dry it out for about 30 minutes. And this is going to give us a lot of time to do a few other things. I want to make a homemade poultry seasoning. So I've got a little bowl of dried sage. We're next going to add in some thyme leaves, followed up with some rosemary leaves, then some marjoram, and totally okay to substitute in oregano there. We're going to hit it with a hint of nutmeg and then some ground white pepper. You could also add a little bit of ground ginger here. Now using a spoon, mix it all together. Now you can see that a lot of these are not ground herbs. They're full, they're leaves, totally fine to use it as is. If you want though, you can absolutely grind all these together in a little spice grinder just like this. Or you can use a mortar and a pestle, which would be the old school way, but works perfectly. Once it's ground, we're simply going to set it to the side. All right, let me stop really quick before I get to the next stage and say this. One on the cornbread. If you don't have a homemade recipe or you don't want to use mine, yes, you can use one of those pre-made cornbread mixes from the grocery store. Make sure it has no sugar in it. That is not negotiable. Also, for the poultry seasoning blend. I mean, the main reason I made this is because I have most of these herbs and spices already in my cabinet. Why not just throw it together? Why do I have to go buy one that's already pre-made from the grocery store? But if you already have a poultry seasoning like a Bell's or a McCormick's that's already pre-made, use it. No problem. I'm just trying to show you, you know me, it's all about a homemade from scratch. Just want to give you that option. Now we are going to cut up a few vegetables. Using either 2 small to medium-sized yellow onions or 1 large yellow onion. You could also use white or sweets. We want to slice off the end, slice it in half, take off that outside peel, and then what you want to do is small to medium size dice them. You want to do the exact same thing with a few stalks of celery, small to medium sized dice, and set them to the side in a bowl. Take the onions and the celery over to a cooktop. I have a large frying pan over low to medium heat. We are going to add in some whole unsalted butter. What we want to do is just melt it, and then at this point, we're going to add in our small diced onions, followed up with our celery. Then go ahead and grab a spoon, and what we want to do here is really just sweat these vegetables for about 10 to 12 minutes. You could even go to 15 minutes. If they get a little brown, absolutely fine. And when it comes to sweating vegetables, you stir occasionally. That means every 2 to 3 minutes, come back, give it a little stir. There's no reason to constantly do it. Once the onions are translucent and the vegetables are tender, we are going to remove them from the cooktop in the pan, and we're going over to a very, very large size bowl and add the cooked vegetables right in there. At this time, hopefully your cornbread and bread are dried out quite a bit more. This is excellent. If they need to go a little bit longer, no problem. You're also not making toast, so if some pieces are still a little bit soft, don't sweat it. We are going to add it right to the bowl, and then what we want to do is add in my homemade creamed chicken velouté. I've got a great recipe for this. If you only have canned cream of chicken soup, totally fine, but the homemade version, so much better. Now sprinkle in some of that homemade poultry seasoning. And now it's time to add in chicken stock. What I like to do is add in about a cup to a cup and a half at a time until it is mixed in. I find that if I just put all of it in at the same time, I'm waterlogged, it's soggy, it doesn't look good, and I know that it's absolutely way too wet. This is a great consistency right here. Be sure to try a little bit. We want to season it up and make sure that it is fully delicious with sea salt and fresh cracked black pepper, and then be sure to mix those in. It is so incredibly important to make sure you season and taste it at this stage. Remember, season once, taste twice. Taste it, season it, taste it again, see if you need a little bit more. The main reason is because we're going to be adding in raw eggs next, and I don't want you tasting anything with raw eggs in it. But I do want to say this. You can absolutely add a few more things to this recipe right now along with the eggs. That includes cooked pork sausage. You can do cooked chorizo. You can even do a little bit of cooked shredded chicken, shredded turkey, cooked mushrooms, some pork belly. I mean, have a field day and have fun. If you want to incorporate some protein or a few more different vegetables in the mix, it will be absolutely incredible. Okay, here's what we do now. In a separate bowl, I've got 4 large eggs, so just grab a whisk and vigorously whisk them until they are completely whisked and scrambled. We're going to take that bowl and pour it right over the top of our cornbread dressing. Scrape all of that goodness in there, and then using that same rubber spatula, completely combine all of the ingredients until they are mixed in. This is the exact consistency you're looking for, almost like cream of wheat or oatmeal. Now what we're going to do is transfer the mixture over to a large 13x9 casserole dish. You could spray it with a little bit of nonstick spray if you wanted to, then just smooth it out using the rubber spatula to flatten it out. So what I personally like to do is wrap it up in foil first. I like to keep it nice and moist when it's in the oven, but we'll take it off in a little bit. But first, in the oven, 375 degrees, we're going to let it cook for about 25 minutes. After that amount of cooking time, come back to your oven, pull it out, and then just simply remove the foil on the outside. What that's going to do is allow the top to brown up and crisp up, and also for some more of that chicken stock moisture to be cooked into our cornbread and bread. Take it out of the oven, and oh my gosh, does it look and smell absolutely amazing. Super simple, fundamental basics. I mean, we're talking about an easy, classic cornbread dressing. We're not making a turducken. We're not doing anything that fancy. But when done right and homemade, the flavors, oh my gosh, so delicious. And in fact, you don't have to eat this just for the holidays. And I guarantee if you do, your plate will be jam-packed with this because it's so good. You can make this in the middle of the week. Remember when I said adding a few little bits of protein in there, the chicken, the turkey, the sausage? It will be amazing in the middle of the week. But we are going to plate this up. Just one quick little thing. Let me show you how to do it. Here we go. Simply garnish with little finely minced fresh thyme and rosemary, which are some of the herbs used in that poultry seasoning. And then, dang, you've got an absolutely incredibly delicious homemade cornbread dressing. If you love this recipe and learned something, please like and share it. And definitely hit that subscribe button. I'd love a sub from you. Check out this recipe right here. I made it just for you. See you on there. Let's get in this.